Hello everyone, this is Simon, your host for the Modern Awakened Perspective, your map for the path to enlightenment. And this is my second video for the day. The first time I'm making 2 videos in a day. But there's some stories I just wanted to address before tomorrow. So let me go ahead and get into my first story here. And this one's called Pelosi versus Trump, which they've kind of had their squabbles in the last few days, and so there's a new chapter to mention. Basically, looks like Nancy Pelosi is a little bitter over her canceled trip overseas. She has disinvited Trump from delivering the State of the Union address at the House of Representatives. Now, this happened because the government has been partially shut down because the lawmakers can't agree on when to reopen. Trump wants the funds for the wall to be built on the southern border, but the Dems don't want to vote fund it. They don't want to fund it no matter what. I wonder why they really don't want the wall to be built. Is it because they like having the drugs and the human trafficking and the immigrants all come over here? Does it partially fulfill what they want to have done in their underlying agenda? Seems like it must be something pretty important for them to hold out for so long. Now, every time I read about this story, the same numbers keep popping up. And the story says that it's been 33 days since the shutdown has begun. Now, that number is pretty symbolic to me. If you understand much about the Freemasons and the number 33, you know that it's an important number to them. And, you know, I don't want to be a huge conspiracy theorist, but that number kept popping out to me. And so it seems to be included in every story associated with this little feud. So I think there's something more going on to it, and that's some sort of symbology they use to reflect their power. So we'll see who really gets the final upper hand in this story. Now, like I said, the symbology of that number is not lost on me. It's the favorite number for the Masons, and I believe there's quite a few underlying agendas here, and we'll probably never know all of them, but it's pretty obvious that something deeper is going on than what's being told. Now, Trump has said he's not surprised and that the show must go on. So he's planning an alternative to the traditional State of the Union address that obviously won't be at the House of Representatives. Hopefully it will be easy to see, though, and hopefully everyone can have a chance to watch it. Now, I wonder what the Democrats and Pelosi are afraid of, why they don't want him to give this speech. Is he going to say something that they really don't like, that shines light on their underlying agenda? You never know what he's liable to say. They must really be afraid, though. Earlier today, the Trump dared her to disinvite him, and so the president must have a Trump card up his sleeve. He must have been planning on this. So I'm definitely going to have my eyes peeled, and hopefully it'll be some good information, some good content in whatever his speech entails. So I wanted to get that story out there. And also, while I'm here, there's another pretty big story going on about the Venezuelan president. In an unusual move, the country of Venezuela now has 2 presidents. The acting president, Maduro, has been accused of fraud in this recent election, and his power seems to be dwindling. Now, in the past, he's ruled the country pretty violently, especially to those opposed of his regime. But that didn't seem to scare the new president. His name is Juan Guaido. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. He didn't scare him and prevent him from declaring himself the interim president and calling for new elections. Now, Guaido has said that it is his constitutional duty to take the reins, and not long after he declared himself to be president, he was backed up by Donald Trump, our president. Now, he placed his support behind Guaido, and hopefully this can be beneficial for him and allow him to take control over the country. Venezuela has had many troubles here recently, politically, socially, and economically. In fact, in a previous video I did, I mentioned that people were so poor off that they were breaking into the zoo to kill the animals to eat for food. Now that tells you how bad things have to be for people to go to those kind of extremes. Now the country is desperate for change. It's pretty obvious. The leadership, hopefully under Guaido, will be able to move things in a positive direction. But by Wednesday afternoon, there were plenty of people in the streets, thousands and thousands of protesters in the capital city, Caracas, and they were protesting and clashing with police. This brings to mind protests going on in other parts of the world, like the Yellow Vest movement in France, and the protest that's going on over in the EU with the failed Brexit negotiations. So clearly the world seems to be waking up and people are finding their voices. I believe they're willing to do whatever it takes to enact the kind of change which makes things fair for the general public and for all the people there that are dealing with these horrible situations. Now, hopefully, like I said, that all these protests and all these changes make a difference, because it's time for everybody to stand up and fight for what they believe is right. Otherwise, things will just keep getting worse and worse and worse as people lose their power and lose their economic status. It seems like the elite just want all the money and power for themselves, and people are just sick of it. And you never know what's going to happen next, where the next country is going to be, where people just have had enough, and there's something that happens that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. So keep your eyes open for more stories like this. Please like and subscribe if you like this content, and hopefully we can get this type of information out to more people. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.